I'm Angela Sword, and I'm a second-year Anthem student at Living Waters Foursquare Church in Medford, Oregon. And I want to share with you a little bit about my life and what God has done in it. So, I was born into an extremely broken home where my parents were divorced at the age of 2. I lived with my mom and was raised by her till the age of about 5. And during that time, I just lived in a really hard situation where there were drugs around, and my mom had many boyfriends that were abusive in a lot of different ways. And then when I was about 3 years old, I was molested by my cousin, and that was a really, really hard thing on me and my identity. And then at that same age, though, I heard that Jesus loved me, and so that's where my relationship with God started. When I was about 6 years old, I had a heat stroke and I almost died, and my grandparents took us in. We were no longer allowed to live with my mom, so we moved in with my grandparents. Then at the age of about 11 or 12, my brother was really heavily involved in drugs, and then he abused me sexually at that time, and it just progressed, and it was a lot, and it happened a lot, and it was horrible, really, really horrible. And then at that time, when I was in middle school, I started doing drugs and just completely lost myself, and it was a battle of my soul where I was wanting God so bad and seeking after Him, yet still so involved in this world. But when I was about 14, obviously Jesus came out victorious, and my life, I rededicated it to Christ, and I found out that Jesus was my Father at that age, and that's never going to leave. I'm always going to know that God is there as my Father. And played soccer, was involved in school activities, theater, loved it. Then in February of my senior year, my brother tried to hurt me again. He tried to rape me again, and I realized that that sometimes faith takes action, and I needed to step forward and not let this happen anymore. So I had to go to the cops and tell them everything that happened, and my whole life was just torn apart at that time. I no longer could live with my grandparents. I couldn't go to school anymore. Just everything was ripped away, and so all I had was Jesus. And that's when I came into Anthem. In my first year of Anthem, I had a really hard time coming in because I felt like I didn't care about anyone. And so in about November, Drew came. Drew. Wonderful Drew. And we were just talking, and at that moment I realized that I didn't trust anybody. That I wasn't even really sure if I trusted God completely. And I knew that that I love God, but I didn't trust God in people. And God's bigger than people themselves, if that makes any sense. He can work through people, and I realized that during that week. And so trusting people became something that I started to do, and it's changed my life, trusting God in people. At the beginning of second year, we started out the year with City Week, and during that week I got a call, and it was my victim's advocate, who is my advocate for the court cases that were going on because of my brother. And she let me know that the court date was 2 days away. It was so awesome that we were in City Week, and that Anthem was so tight at this time. We were just really close because we were together every day, praying together and just eating together. And I found out then just how much I trusted these people that I was going to be communing with the next year. That I got to just pour out my heart and really, really cry before them, and they got to pray for me before I went and had court. And I didn't think that it would be finished or anything. I was actually sure that there was still a long road ahead of me before this whole thing with my brother would be done. But Thomas was he had this word where he said, the finish line is here. And in my mind, I'm the finish line is so not here. I still have so much more to go through. But I went to court, and all I had to do was share, like, they asked me questions, and then I just had to share the truth, and then it was done. My brother, he was put under supervision of the state for the next 30 years or something like that. But I got to experience closure for the first time with this, and it is so amazing because I just had this family of Anthem behind me, just praying for me, and they're my spiritual covering, and it was just awesome, really awesome to get to experience that family love. One place that I go to in my meetings with Jan started out, it was where I was molested when I was 3 years old, and it was a place where my identity was just completely confused, and I didn't know who I was. God came in and he told me who I was, that I am holy, that I'm blameless, that I am a beautiful little girl. He took that place of hurt and pain and just made it a place of absolute worship where I want to meet him, and I want to dance with him, and I want to just be with Jesus. These past 2 years I've had to be in a tight-knit community, and I think that's one thing that makes Anthem unique, is that we're together all the time, and that's truly iron sharpening iron. We all have our battles and our trials, living in the apartments together and just doing ministry together, but it makes us better people, and people that are serving the Lord, and I get to see what God is doing in like Anthony's life or Tim's life or Sarah's life, and I get to see that, and I want that for my own life, and we all have God working in each one of us, and it's beautiful. It really is. And I love Anthem so much.